Okay, so now we encounter a more difficult type of exercise. It says for the figures below, calculate all interior angles based on the given information. Okay, so what do we have in the first problem? Here we can see we have a big triangle, a medium triangle, and a small triangle. Okay, so first of all, let's classify them. The big triangle, let's call it 1, the medium triangle 2, and the small triangle 3. Okay, and we're gonna work by parts, right? So let's work first with the general information that we have from the big triangle. We can see here that for the big triangle, we're given that this side is 15 meters and this side is 15 meters as well. What does that mean? That the big triangle, the triangle 1, is an isosceles triangle. And what are the characteristics of an isosceles triangle? That the two angles of this triangle are equal, right? If this side is equal to this side, this angle is equal to this angle. It is different to this one, but these two are equal, okay? And we're given that one of those triangles is 45. So we know now that this angle is also 45 degrees, right? So now you can see that we have an additional information. So if we pay close attention, now in the medium triangle, in triangle number 2, we have 1 and 2 triangles. And using the principle of interior angles of a triangle, we can define the missing angle, right? So let's go ahead and do that. For triangle 2, let's do the math. We have 80 degrees plus 45 degrees plus the missing angle. Let's call it x. Plus x is equal to 180 degrees. So, okay, we have that x then is equal to 180 degrees minus 80, that will be 100, minus 45, that will be x equal to 55 degrees. Okay, so this angle right here will be 55 degrees. Okay, now that we have this information, if we keep looking closely to the information that we are given, if this big triangle, we have this 45-degree angle and this 45-degree angle, we could obtain this big angle, right? Let's use a green color. This big angle is a missing angle from the big triangle. So let's calculate that. The big triangle is 1. Let's do the math here. We have that 45 plus 45, because we already calculated based on the isosceles properties, plus angle, let's call it y, right? Plus angle y is equal to 180 degrees. So now we get that y is equal to 180 minus 45 minus 45, and y is equal to 90 degrees. So this big angle here is 90 degrees. Okay, so let's keep looking for the missing information. If we know that the big angle is 90 degrees and this small angle is 55, we could easily get the remaining angle. Okay, so this small one, let's call this small angle W. Right? And now let's apply the equation. We have that the big angle is 90 degrees and one small angle is 55. So 90 degrees minus 55 should be W, right? So W is equal to 35 degrees. So this small angle is equal to 35 degrees because 55 plus 35 is equal to 90 degrees, which is the big one. So this angle plus this angle should be all this angle. Okay, so we have this angle, we have this angle, we have this angle, we have this big one, and we have one more missing, which will be this one, right? We have two ways on how to calculate this angle. Okay, so we either do this small angle plus this small angle plus this angle is equal to 180, or we look closely and we notice that we are also given this angle right here, which means that this angle and this angle are supplementary angles. What does that mean? That the sum of these two should add up to 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and use that method. We say that, first of all, let's call this angle angle A, and let's say that 80 degrees plus A should be equal to 180 degrees, which means that A is equal to 100 degrees. And that's how we finalize the first complex exercise. Let's move on with the next one. Here we notice that we're given two angles, but we are having an additional information. We know that this is a right angle, and if this is a right angle, this one right here is also a right angle. What does that mean? That this is 90 degrees and this is 90 degrees. So we could easily apply the interior angles of the triangle is equal to 180 degrees to solve both of these triangle that forms a big triangle. Okay, so let's do the first one. Let's say that 40 plus 90 plus, let's call this angle X and this angle Y, plus X is equal to 180 degrees, being X equal to 50 degrees, which means this angle here is 50 degrees. Okay, so let's set up the next equation. It will be 60 plus 90 plus Y is equal to 180 degrees. So Y is equal to 30 degrees, which means this angle here is 30 degrees. Okay, so this was an easy one. So let's go ahead and solve the last one. This one looks a little bit more challenging because of the orientation. Let's see how many triangles we have. We have one big one, 2, 3, and 4. And what information are we given here? We have one right angle and two right angles. So if this one is a right angle, this one over here is also a right angle, and this one over here is also a right angle. Okay, so let's start classifying these angles first. We're gonna call the big triangle 1, this one 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so what angles do we have to find? We have to find this one, let's call it X. We have to find this one, let's call it Y. This one, let's call it W. And this one, let's call it Z. Okay, so what do we know? Let's take a look of this, and if we see the angle number 3, this one right here, how many angles are we given? We have one angle, two angles, right? Because we know that this is 90 degrees. So let's go ahead and calculate for y. Okay, so we can say that 75 plus 90 plus y is equal to 180 degrees, which means that y is equal to 15 degrees. So this angle right here is 15 degrees. Perfect. So if this angle is 15 degrees and this entire angle is 90 degrees, we could easily solve for W. So let's go ahead and solve for W. We say that Y plus W should be equal to 90 degrees. And we already know that Y is 15. We don't know W. And we know 90 degrees. So we could say that W is equal to 75 degrees. So this angle right here is 75 degrees. Okay, so now we have this angle here, and we need to find this angle right here. Let's set up the equation then. We have that 90 plus 75 plus Z is equal to 180 degrees. And Z, after the calculations, is equal to 15 degrees. Okay, so this angle right here is 15 degrees. And we have one more left. We have X, but this should be easy to go because we have this angle, and we could calculate for X. So it will be 60 plus 90 plus X equal to 180 degrees. X is equal to 30 degrees. So this angle right here is equal to 30 degrees. Okay, so we are done solving the complex problems, applying the principle of the interior angles of a triangle.